And look at that. We are right straight in like that.
Wow, look at that. Amazement.
You tell this laptop to kiss my ass. We don't need any music or anything. We can go at it raw.
You get so many laptops through. Why haven't you kept one yet?
Oh, I think we're getting close on that really expensive one. She keeps getting a lot of, I think that the amount of questions that she's got on that $1,500 really good laptop that we've got,
right?
I think that she's gotten enough questions from morons and idiots that I might be able to steal that pretty soon. Except that I'm really hoping, anyways. That's
an excellent Christmas gift for you. I mean,
absolutely. And got a hurricane coming, apparently this Hurricane Delta that's looking kind of big, and
we need that. I mean, that would be a great piece.
Before I forget, listen, we've got a big interview tonight. Tabitha Stevens, an old friend of the show. We're going to be talking to her coming up here in a few minutes. I want to tell you, Wednesday night for the show, something kind of funny. We're going to play a couple of clips. Hopefully we don't get dinged for it, but I want to play a couple of clips because a cousin of mine on the Blowers side was on divorce court today.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's great.
So we're going to get into that a little bit, including the fact that her husband is an actor. So I kind of want to ask a few questions about that. But yeah, so she was on divorce court today with her husband.
Have you ever watched the paternity court one where they do a whole thing and then at the end they tell you if the person's the parent or not?
There's one that you've probably never seen that's out of Atlanta. There are two fantastic people. It's a married couple. Don't remember the name of it. I'm going to have to find it for you. It's a great court show, but they do a lot of that too, with the paternity tests and all that stuff. So it's,
Yeah, my brother-in-law was almost on Judge Judy. He had a chance to go on Judge Judy. And it's really weird how they solicit people. I mean, it's like out of nowhere. They just basically go through, I guess, court records and see people that filed for things.
No kidding.
And, yeah.
Like they contacted him?
Yeah. It was like, it came like certified mail and stuff.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So, it was like all expenses paid. Win or lose, like if you lost, you didn't have to pay it. They would pay it for you, the whole 9 yards. And it's like a free trip. I mean, who doesn't want that? I mean, I told him, I was like, dude, you got to do it. And he's like, oh, no, I can't do it. And I'm like, oh my God, that would have been amazing. I said, you could call me in as a witness.
Enough talking about court shows, for God's sakes. You can tell we spend a lot of time at home during the day. Let's jump on and say hello to Tabitha Stevens.
Oh my goodness, look at this outfit. Welcome back. You look like you're ready for the pool.
Well, I wanted to give some summer vibes still, even though I'm in elevator season, even though it's fall. You still want to get the little heat going on.
Yeah, it's never too late. And here where we're at in North Carolina, it was hot today. It was actually still hot. So it was like 86, I think.
Wow, really?
Yeah. It was the hottest day in about 2 weeks.
We didn't get anywhere near that, and I'm not that far away from you, Mikey.
Yeah. So it was it was hot and sweaty and humid, and it was just so.
No, I got this 95 here in Vegas today.
Oh, you're in the desert, so that makes sense. That really does.
It's still Vegas. We've been doing 115 this summer, in August. It was really bad. We had a bad summer as far as the heat goes. It was bad.
Yeah, old people like me and Creed, we can't handle the hot weather, as they say. It affects us a little bit differently, I guess. It doesn't help that we're a little bit on the unfit side. We're not.
However, you got to say though that desert heat is different than the swamp ass heat that we have here with the 100% humidity. It is different. It's dry heat. It's still hot, of course.
Right.
But
no, it's different. I grew up in New York on Long Island, and it's the same thing. That weather, especially when it rains in the summer, was why even take a shower? Because you're just going to get out. So I got you.
Tabitha, how have you been doing? Last time we talked to you was about the incredible film Die, Influencers Die. How have things gone since the last time we spoke to you? What have you been up to?
Well, let's see. The film is still waiting to be released on Amazon. We have it out for iTunes, Google Play, and Apple TV. Right now, what's happening is because of COVID, all these projects were put on the back burner.
Right.
So it's taking a long time for these companies to release them. So they have to go through approval processes and stuff. And we've been through the most important part of the approval process. It's just the waiting for it to be released. So we're like, oh no. But other than that, just doing my thing. No?
Just the wait. Yeah. And I was thinking today, I was thinking about the first time I became aware of who you were. And of course, it was through the Howard Stern show. And that was a great time for his show. I mean,
big Howard news today, by the way.
What was it? What was it, Creed?
Well, everybody's saying 120 million for the new contract, which we all kind of were like thinking he was done. But
I thought he was done. Yeah, that is great news for him, especially not so much for me, but great for him. But you ended up on that show. In what roundabout way did you make your way into the show? Because not a lot of people are aware how you got there. It was just like you were automatically all of a sudden there, and then you were there all the time.
I got lucky. I have to say, let's see. The first time I was ever on was with Steven Adler of Guns N' Roses.
Mm-hmm.
And he was promoting a clothing line that he had. And at the time, he had been friends with a man by the name of Buck Adams. I'm not sure if you know who he is. He's from the porn world. That's actually Amber Lynn's brother. He passed away a few years back. But so Buck was doing something, collaborating with Steven. And they had asked if we could wear some of their, have us go in their little, we did Babe Watch. Remember the show Babe Watch?
Yeah,
There was a movie called Babe Watch. Right, I was in one of those. So they had me wear the red bikini, and they asked if I could go on the show with Steven, and we went. And after that, I had a publicist at the time, and he said, oh, I have these few girls that want to come on the show. And they're like, we'll take Tabitha. Like, they excused the other ones who were big names. I was like, holy cow, like me,
right.
So they did, and it just kept rolling. And I think too, I'm one of those people that I'm just cool. I don't give a crap. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, will you eat Gary DELL'ABATE's toenails off a cupcake? Yeah, whatever. So I did. Will you do this sexual thing with Bigfoot? I'm like, as long as he's tested and it's with the condom, I'm great. I have no problem. And, I was just kind of up for anything, but I kept it cool and kind of classy. What I mean? And I think they like that. So, and I'm grateful. And just the whole crew, between Howard, Robin, Gary DELL'ABATE, love him. Fred, everyone, Artie at the time, even, they're just great people. But the people who work like behind the scenes as well.
Right.
Great humans. I mean, I've met some wonderful people through those years through the show.
Right.
So again, I'm very, very grateful to have been on. I just think it was because I was pretty cool, down to earth, and like, hey, whatever.
It seemed like you were basically down for just about anything, and you always did it with a smile. That was the one thing I always noticed. I said, wow. I was like, Tabitha is gung ho, but not just that. She really seems like she's having a good time. So that was, I thought that's why they were so drawn to you, and you just kept coming back and back and back. And I often wondered, was there ever any like behind the scenes? Were you starting to see any of the staffers or anything like that? Because it seemed like they were all really attracted to you. Let's just get out in the open. They all seemed like they were very attracted to you.
Oh, you know what? No. And here's why I say that too, is I'm allowed to curse, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I see it as you don't shit where you eat. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like, this is my job as being Tabitha Stevens, as a porn performer. But you don't want to cross that line with anybody, because you can lose a good gig by doing something like that. So, I was at a party that Howard had thrown when he did one of his shows in Vegas, and it was a private party, and Howard was there. And it was a lot of fun. It was super cool. But, could I have like hit on him and done all this stuff? Yeah. But I didn't, because first of all, he's very intimidating, not in the way of he's mean or anything, but you're just like, oh my gosh, it's Howard Stern. Like, it's a weird thing. I can't explain it. But I would never, because people had always said to me, oh, you probably had to have sex with him or somebody from the show to get on the show. I'm like, no, why do people have to think that? It's like, no, I'm just Tabitha Stevens. Everybody knows what I do anyway. So it's kind of like, I didn't have to do any of that.
Now, you got to be a part of like, almost like the golden era. Like, a lot of people think those are Howard's best years, was that time period. Do you still listen to Howard? Are you still a big Howard fan? I mean, has that kind of waned away since I mean, let's face it, he has changed. He is not the same person he was then as compared to now. This is more Hollywood Howard now, and you had pretty much more rambunctious, kind of wacky, out there Howard then. And he says it's a persona, that kind of thing. But is that something that affects you as a fan of Howard, that it's not maybe your cup of tea now, it's all the celebrities and things like that?
No, because everybody grows, and that's like if somebody said to me, okay, Tabitha, you're in the porn business, you're stuck there. You can't do Die Influencers Die. You can't do any mainstream projects because that's evolving into something else. And that's what I think happened to Howard, is he evolved into something else. So for me, it's like, hey, if that's what he wants to do, you're going to do what makes you happy. Right. Because at the end of the day, who's paying your bills? And you have to sleep at night too, right? So if it's something that if you're happy with, in interviewing A-list talent, then hey, that's wonderful. Have a good time. Now I understand his fans because it's a whole different ballgame, and I get it. I totally get it. But they have to understand too that if you really love Howard, you have to accept him evolving.
Yeah. Now, if I was to say to you right now, Tabitha, who is your favorite member of the Howard Stern Show? Minus Howard, of course. We'll take him out of the mix. Who is your absolute favorite member of the show?
Gary DELL'ABATE.
Why?
He's very compassionate, believe it or not. So very cool, very nice. All right, so I have this thing for teeth, right? Like I love big teeth. Like you can see mine are freaking huge. Look at the size of these guys.
Right, gotcha.
I'm gonna show you anyway. Okay. So look at the size of these.
Oh my God, yeah. Okay.
They're huge, right? But Gary has them. So I actually have photos of us doing this. We would compare our teeth. So and we're like, oh. So we measured it one time, and he didn't want to do it, and I made him do it, and it's not on the show. This was like in the green room kind of a thing. I want to say that his were longer, mine were wider, but they were huge, both of us. And I went and had dental work done again, and I had I had veneers put on, and I'm like, I want them like Gary's. I want them big. So, he's actually just, a super nice guy. I'd call him outside of, the show. Right. If I had an issue with something, I'd be like sad. I'd be like, I hate living in Los Angeles. And he's like, okay, Tabitha, just calm down. And I'm like, I'm sorry to call you, but you get me. And he was super cool. And it's not like a creepy thing or like, oh, I want to be a fairy. It's nothing. He's just a nice freaking human being. And so he's my favorite.
We got to meet Gary one time, and he was super nice to us and very cordial and that kind of thing. So I get what you're saying as far as that goes, but you know what? You have to be the only person in human history to say you wanted teeth like Gary DELL'ABATE. I mean, you have to be the only person ever to have said that.
I love that. I love it.
I know. It's like,
Now, another thing that I find very interesting about you, and you're very open about it, is your love for plastic surgery. You don't hide it. Where a lot of times you'll run into people and they'll say something about, oh no, I didn't have this done or had that done. You've been on that Dr. 90210 show several times. Mm-hmm. What was the point where you decided you were not maybe happy with something? Was it because you weren't happy with something, or you just wanted to change or upgrade or evolve, or what exactly was the point when you decided? I mean, because there was nothing wrong with your looks as far as anyone. I never heard anyone complain. Look at Tabitha's nose. Look at that nose. So there was never an issue. But what was the point where you decided, hey, this is going to change and this is going to change?
It evolves. And what happened was, when you're in like the entertainment business, whether it's adult films or whether, it's just mainstream acting or anything like that, you go in to work, let's say like in my job, we're naked. Right. So of course I had implants before I got in the business. But then I wanted to change them because it seemed like some of the girls had bigger boobs. So I thought, okay, I'll get them bigger. And so I had those changed a few times. Then, oh, I want to change my nose a little bit. I don't like the way it looks. So, you go in and you do these little things. But what had happened was, and most people don't understand this, but when I was on Dr. 90210, I was correcting the mistakes that these doctors had made.
Right.
So, for instance, I had the tip of my nose. One of the doctors went in and, we discussed this beforehand, but it didn't turn out the way he said it was. He put like a little tip on my nose. And what happened was it started, a few years later, it started turning and doing some weird stuff. And then, of course, like I said, I went to another doctor to fix it. And he said, you look really good to balance out your face if you put cheek implants in your face. And I thought, oh, and at the time I'm in my 20s, about 27 years old, 26, 27. When you're young like that, and you don't have anybody guiding you. Like I didn't have anybody guiding me through my career at all. It was all me doing everything. And, you think, oh, well, this doctor is a big Beverly Hills Hollywood doctor. And, he knows what he's saying. Maybe I should. But of course, they're looking for this,
Yeah, okay.
So I spent a lot of money. So I did cheek implants. And he fixed the nose and he put a nose implant in as well. Well, just all hell broke loose with the implants. He custom cut them for my face. One started shifting into my eye, like it was pulling the skin out. Like I had to have it removed. It was a mess. So when I went on Dr. 90210, what I was trying to do is say, hey, yeah, I did these things. I'm not gonna lie about it, but I wanted to show them that things can be fixed if you go to the right people to fix them. You're not stuck with something you absolutely hate. So that was my thought. But of course, when you're on a show like that or any other type of reality show, again, it's, you have the producers saying to you, are you addicted to plastic surgery? That's a key word for it. Just say you're addicted. And every girl I know gets Botox, in the business and lips and blah, blah, blah. So we all get things done. But then I look at, okay, I listed these things, I'm sure they're somewhere, of the procedures I've done. And again, a lot of it was for correcting mistakes. Now, it was my fault in the first place for actually doing the stuff that I did. And, I look at some of the girls now and I'm like, okay, so people pick on me. I've been told you're ugly, you're disgusting, stick a gun in your mouth and blow your head off. And I'm like, really? Okay. But now I look at, I know so many girls have done way more than I've ever done. And I'm going, wow, okay, so they're still picking up on me. I'm like, I'm 50 years old. Let the lady just chill. It's crazy. But, it is what it is. And if people don't like my look, then, I'm sorry.
You always got to remember that most of that comes out of people being extremely, what's the word I'm trying to find?
I don't know.
Jealous?
God,
petty?
Jealous. That's it. Thank you. Yeah. I think that's where a lot of that comes from, though, is extreme jealousy. That's how I see it. I really do.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's crazy because it's men. It's mostly men.
I'm very surprised to hear that. Yeah, that's.
Of course, a lot of it's men, and it's weird.
Okay,
and I'm like, and when I get picked on, this is the funniest thing. There was a time where I had my lips done too, and I used to put all kinds of injections. And I remember going on the Howard Stern show one time, and I wasn't scheduled to be on, but I had gone on. I was in New York City, and I wanted to go on and talk to them about some stuff. And they booked me on the show, and I had just had my lips injected before I'd gone to New York, and they were freaking gigantic. Like these things were huge, and of course, you put lipstick on them, they look even bigger. Yeah. So after the show, Robin takes me inside by her little area. This is at the K-Rock studios. This is before Studio. And she's like grabbing me and holding me and shaking me. She's like, what are you doing? She's like, you're such a beautiful girl. What's with this stuff on your lips? What is this? Like, stop this. You really don't do this. Like, stop. And I just start crying because I'm like, she's right. Here I have, I'm looking at everybody else doing it. And doctors saying, oh, no, it'll look better like this. And I got sucked into it. And I did it. I mean, I can't. And again, it's my own fault. There's no blame. I'm the one who actually said, stick the needle in. But, and then when you do it, you don't realize because you get used to looking at yourself a certain way. So it's like, oh, well, they don't look that big. And then, hell yeah, they were big. Like, I look back at some of those photos and like, oh, my gosh, like, what was I thinking? But it happens.
And that was the thing that everybody was doing. And still to this day, people still do it. And you see them, it's like, oh my God, why did you do this? It doesn't look appealing to a lot of people. Especially if somebody does it wrong and it's all bumpy and all uneven and things like that. And it looks like if you had a stroke. And it's just
no, but that happens. Yes. And that happens. And again, when I had the doctors, I put a chin implant at one point into my face to balance out my face, because I'm thin, I'm tiny, I'm 5'3", I weigh 100 pounds. I have size 5.5 shoe. Like, I'm really small, and I have a very long, narrow face. And doctor had said to me, we should just put a chin implant. What do you think? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Do you think that would look better? Because remember, they had done all this other crazy stuff, and I said, sure, okay, whatever you think. Well, that chin implant, we found whole other side of my face. It was making me smile weird and do all this weird stuff because it went crooked.
That's terrifying. I mean, that really is. I mean, especially when, men, yes, it's traumatic, but for a woman, especially a woman who work revolves around her looks. I mean, let's face it, it really does, that's terrifying, because one, that's the way that you make a living. And two, now you've gotten to this vicious circle where it's like you got to keep changing and moving and doing these things. And there has to be a time when you're like, my God, I regret this so much. I wish I'd have never started in the first place. Did you ever have that moment where you just like come to Jesus moment?
No, it's funny. And I'm like this throughout anything I do with my career. You know what? I jumped into my career. I never looked back. I did these things and I did them on my own free will. And I know I don't regret it because I learned something from it. And that's why I went on Dr. 90210 to kind of say, help people get through that as well.
Right.
And then I look now, but like you said, you got to keep up with the times. I think that a lot of girls now are doing way more than I'd ever done.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
But I can't, like I could sit and say, oh, well, she shouldn't do this. And she was prettier before. But you know what? If that's what makes somebody happy and if that's their thing, that's up to them. That's like if somebody told me that. Robin was the one who stopped me from doing all that crazy stuff. But, had I not had Robin doing that, I'd probably still have those gigantic lips that weren't. And again, on some girls, it looks great. They can pull it off. I have a skinny face. I have a little, my face is small. So it looked ridiculous. And I see that now as a 50-year-old. And sometimes I think as you grow older, you kind of look back and say, maybe,
And we all do that. We all do that. I mean, there's tons of times I can look back and say, wow, I was so stupid. What was I doing with that long hair or that mullet I had at the end of high school? Why in the world did I have that mullet?
Or like now.
Yeah.
Or like now when you try to grow a beard.
Oh, if I try and grow a beard, it's the most homeless man looking beard. This is it. This is as good as it gets with me. I can't grow a beard at all.
You learned because she did it. So you learned and you said, okay, well, you know what? That's not really for me. And that's okay. And that's what happened after with the Dr. 90210 stuff. It was like, you know what? It's good. I'm good. It's like, I really don't have anything else to do that I'd want to do, and I don't know. It's just, yeah.
I mean, Kizzy, I believe that's how you say that. Yeah. It says, any tips for getting rid of wrinkles?
Where?
I'm not sure.
We'll guess on the face.
Oh, no, that's a Botox thing. And again, I'm not going to say, oh, I don't do Botox. I do. Let me see how many times a year. I want to say maybe twice a year, if that, but I don't do a lot. And like even now, like I can lift my eyebrows. I can make faces, so I don't go crazy with it. But Botox is probably the best way to do. But they have, like, if you go get a facial from somewhere, they have a lot of new things that, help exfoliate and get rid of fine lines and things like that. So that's the best probably way to do it. To see a professional and see somebody who's good. Not some rinky dink weirdo that's gonna have you doing all of those kinds of stuff. So
and that's the biggest thing. It's almost like when you take your car in for repairs and you just take it to the guy who's either the cheapest or the one that has an open appointment, and that sometimes can be a nightmare. It goes that way with everything. But I think at the end you've really you've earned it in a way. You've stood up for it. You were, you took all the like, hey, this is what I did. This was me. And that's the best thing. And that's a positive message that I think a lot of people need to know. Like, own your thing, own what you're doing. And if it's making you happy, it's almost like fuck everybody else. I mean, that's the way people need to be. You really have to be that way, because if you worry about what everybody else has got to say, you're going to sit around just worrying all the time.
Oh, you'll never grow as a human. You'll never grow in anything. You're going to be depressed, and like we are all depressed right now,
right?
You know, but it's just, you got to do what makes you happy, no matter what it is. Like, you love doing your show. You know, I'm on OnlyFans, and I love shooting little crazy weird clips, even though they're nutty as hell, for my OnlyFans. So I like to, you know, for me, it's, and I'm not stopping that, because it's funny. People say, oh, well, you were on After Porn Ends #2, so you quit the adult business. And it's like, well, I quit shooting for companies, like for movies like that. But as far as like the social, like that, not social media platforms, but like for like the fan sites, why would I? I think I look good. I love my fans, and I just like to have fun. And if I can still do it at 50, maybe I can still do it at 55. Who knows? But I'm gonna do it just for as long as I like to do it, and I gotta own that, right? So. Right.
And there's no cutoff age. It's not like, oh, you're done now. You're in retirement. You got to hang up your G-string and call it a day.
But that's how it used to be, because then it became, you know, oh, you're looking like this, you're looking bad. But you know, now I think, which is cool. Remember when the whole MILF thing happened?
Right.
That was great for us, like older girls, you know, because it's like, oh. Now the only sad part about that is you're only getting hired for MILF type movies, and it's like, guys, can we just go do something else? I'm not saying put ponytails on me and act like I'm younger, because that's not going to work either. But, you know, just give another role that's other than, you know, I screwed my mom.
Yeah.
You know, and I would not.
And that's all there is nowadays. That's it.
Yeah. And it's like, stop. But I would, it was funny, because when I did movies years back, you know, I got an offer, you know, oh, will you do this one? I'm like, I'm not doing it. You know, my son, I'm like, no, if it's like a step thing, that's fine. But I'm not going down that weird road, because you guys do your thing. I'm not touching it.
And that's pretty much what it is. That's the big in thing right now. But with your, you know, having your OnlyFans, and I believe you started doing another site as well.
Yes, Loyal Fans. Yes.
Yeah. So that seems to be where the fans are going now. I mean, that's the hot thing. So if you're not doing that, I mean, you're not even in the ball game anymore. That's the way to, you know, get it done.
I think so. And you know what? The nice thing is, you're not stuck on a set for hours and hours. Back in my day, I was able to choose the talent that I worked with and stuff. I had a list of people I worked with. But now I've heard that, you know, a lot of the agents are sending girls, you know, to gigs, not even knowing who they're working with. And, you know, to me, it's like, whoa, no, I like to know who I'm working with. So, but for like OnlyFans and Loyal Fans, it's great, because I can choose what I want to do, how I want to do it, have fun with it, create little scenarios. I did one in the desert out by Death Valley the other day, where I had this little alien shirt on and these little bottoms on, and I have my hair in a ponytail, and it looks like I had Gary, like, he's filmed it, obviously. I had him like zap me into like the desert, and I'm like doing all this weird, like X-File-y looking things. It was great, but that's for the fans. And you're not going to see that if I work for another company. They get to see me raw and doing fun, cool stuff, you know, and still sexy.
It definitely allows the girls to have more creativity. It allows them to be their own boss in a way, and maybe show a side of themselves that a studio won't allow. A studio that's not going to, they're going to, you know, want you to be serious all the time, or this, that, or the other, or be a mom of someone in every film. So it really does open up doors for performers to be themselves and be more creative. So that's excellent.
And you don't get residuals. People don't understand that. They think, oh, porn stars, you guys are so rich because, you know, you residuals. We do not get residuals. It's not like mainstream Hollywood. So, you know, these fan sites are great for the girls, because it's not like you're going to go to work and you get paid $1,500 for one scene. Then you get your check and you're done. Some of the girls, I don't know, because there's so many people in the business now, you know, how many times can you work in a month? I mean, how do you support yourself if maybe you shot out so much that the next month nobody really wants to shoot you? You know, with OnlyFans and Loyal Fans, you know, you're out there all the time. You know what I'm saying? And you're relevant. You know, with some people, with some of the production companies, you're not so much anymore. So.
And that's great. That's the way that business needs to be, so everybody can, still make a living and still have freedom. And that's a big deal nowadays. Now, with you being at home all the time, you're a married lady now. Your life has, I'm sure, changed somewhat from the old Tabitha, the Howard Stern days. Is there anything other than the shooting and things you do now that people would be like, wow, I can't believe Tabitha would do that, as it would be shocking possibly, or something that they say, wow, this is kind of boring. This doesn't seem like something Tabitha would be doing. Why in the world is she doing that? That sounds boring. That sounds very ordinary or vanilla, as they would say. What's something that's going to surprise people that you're doing at home these days?
You know what? Because Gary has his fine art photography as well. So we're out in the hills, which we call the hills, like the desert, or like we're going to Colorado tomorrow. But we go out to these crazy locations, and there are times when I'm actually having to wear rock climbing gear, climb up rocks, rappel down. So that's something that the old Tabitha Stevens had never done. Gary introduced me to nature. So I'm out there. That's why I have a good tan. I'm out there all of the time, exploring, and just we find these really cool old ancient like Indian sites and things like that. And we're always looking for something. So for me, that's exciting. Now, some people might think it's boring, but and I cook. Like, since this whole COVID thing happened, we haven't been really wanting to go out so much, just because it's you get nerved out. So but I cook. I'm a very good cook. So I cook. I clean, that kind of stuff. But I've also, like with Gary, he and I have been married for almost 14 years. I've been married before, though. Gary's my fourth husband. So, and sometimes it takes a few to figure it out.
that happens. Yeah.
It happens. But but I have to say, you know what? I've never been happier in my entire life, or healthy in my whole life, from all the exercise, from being outside. I don't know if you guys know this. This was years ago. I had some crazy anxiety, like bad. And of course, when you're going on the Howard Stern show, you get nerved out the night before, and even traveling. So I went to the doctor and I said, hey, I'm not feeling, what do I do to chill this out? So they put me on antidepressants. Well, antidepressants didn't do anything, because that's for depression. I wasn't depressed. I was just kind of like, I was getting nerved out. Well, it caused me to have crazy panic attacks. So I got off that medicine. And then they said, here, take Xanax. The doctors had me on 5 bars of Xanax every single day. And at that time, I probably weighed about 96 pounds, but a lot smaller. So I don't even know how I ended up in New York, going on, like getting from like the airport. I usually hired a limo, but I don't even remember half of it, getting to my hotel to get ready to get onto the show the next morning. And we had to be up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. You had to be up early. But yeah, I was on a lot of Xanax. So through the years, what I learned is I replaced it with I weaned off of it, and it was hard. It was so hard. And I started taking edibles at campus. And small doses, started with 2.5 milligrams, went to 5. I've never gone like really over 5. And even the dispensary I've gone to is like, you're the only person we know that stays at the same amount like for years, because most people like by my time would be like 100 milligrams. So I'm like,
build up tolerance. Yeah. You build tolerances and things like that.
Yeah, it's got CBD and THC. So it's, but it chills me out. It keeps me grounded. And of course, I laugh all the time anyway, but, it makes you a little silly, but I feel better. I feel healthier because I'm not on the garbage. You know what I mean?
It's dangerous. Those kinds of things are dangerous. I mean, you're lucky something didn't happen to you, especially when you're out of it and you don't know what you're doing. You can't remember. That's very dangerous. But the drugs themselves, one mistake, and that's it. I mean, you take it or something, or God forbid you take too many or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It's game over. So,
or if you drink with it, when I would go to New York, I'd be hanging out with my friends, and everybody would have a drink. I'm like, okay, sure. So I would have a vodka Red Bull, and I'm on Xanax. No, I'll tell you what, I can't tell you how many times I went to Scores and they handed me the champagne bucket. Like, we know you're going to be okay.
Oh, wow.
Oh, all right. Do you have a second to hear this? This is a funny story. I'll do it.
Absolutely.
So,
take your time.
Chuck Zito.
Mm-hmm.
You know who Chuck is? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So Chuck used to be in Spores all the time. And I went there with High Pitch Eric, Irish John, Triple A. I think Eddie the Produce guy was with us that night. They're a bunch of the WACK guys. So I've been friends with them for years. So they're funny and they're great to hang out with. Right. So we all went out to Spores. And they have this little section where you can have dinner. And it's really nice. It's like this little backed up area. And I had too many. We went out before that to a little bar thing. And I had some drinks. Nothing too much. You know, I had some water with it too. So when I get to Spores, I didn't realize that when they were giving my vodka Red Bull drinks, I thought it was like a little bit of vodka. They were doubling the shots of vodka in my drinks. And I didn't know this. They just thought because it's Tabitha will be nice kind of a thing, like here.
Right.
You know,
yeah, you're doing your favor.
Yes. And again, there's no blame on this. This is, you know, they're trying to be nice. And I remember getting to the point where I was so dizzy and I was hungry and I thought I was going to get sick. And there's Chuck sitting eating pasta. And I go over to Chuck and I'm like, Chuck, what are you doing? And I'm drunk and I'm on my Xanax. And Chuck's like, hey, baby, what's going on? I'm like, I need some of that pasta. He's like, okay. So I sat on his lap and I started eating his food, right? So I wanted something in there, right? So he's like, all right. I'm like, thank you. He's like, it's okay. Go rest. I said, okay. So I get into a booth and I'm sitting there and all of a sudden, they had a champagne bucket. And then there's a photo of me actually, because I was cold. I have a denim jacket around me. The bucket's over my head. It's like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing. But yeah, because the pasta had the sauce and the sauce made it worse. But yeah, that's kind of what happened.
And there's nothing worse than throwing up food when you've been drinking. It's a lot easier if it's just the alcohol. But when there's food involved, one time I threw up after I'd eaten rice, and I had rice come out my nose. And there's nothing weirder than trying to pull rice out of your nose. You've been throwing up and you're very drunk. I don't miss those days at all, not even a little bit. So
that sucks. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like with cannabis, I don't drink. So, and I've never really been a big drinker anyway. Like when I go out with the guys, you know, I would drink. But I can't tell you the last time I had a drink. And, you know, the high is so wonderful on cannabis because it's a mellow, chill thing. I'm not going to ruin it by having a drink. Yeah. Like, why? Because alcohol's a depressant. Why would you go there if you're in a good mood, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, it's like, yeah, I don't need any of that crap. I'm good. So I just take my edible and I'm happy.
And that's great to be able to deal with it that way, because so many people do struggle with anxiety and they do struggle with depression, and it's still a taboo to this day to talk about those kinds of things.
No, people need to talk about it because I've been depressed in my life. I mean, I've gone through things. I think most people do because, you know, honestly, do you really know? Nobody's figured out life yet. Yeah. You know, even as you grow older, you look at your parents thinking, oh, you're like my parents, I have great parents. But I look at them thinking, how do they have it together? But do they really have it together? Probably not. Exactly. You know, maybe a little bit more than I do because they learn through their time. But it takes time to figure things out and to learn and to grow. And you're going to go through depression. It happens. Most people go through depression, especially in these times. And, you know, you got to be strong for other people. And instead of people making fun of everybody, lift them up. You know what I mean? It's just like, be strong for somebody.
And it's a tough thing to deal with. And it seems like, especially with men, a lot of men don't want to talk about it. It's a little more acceptable for women, it seems like, but men I know struggle with it as well. I know I've had times where I've dealt with panic attacks and things like that. And it's a scary thing. It's one of those things where you think you're dying 1 minute and then the next minute you almost wish you were because of the feelings you have, because it's just so overwhelming. So people need to make sure, and if you know someone who is depressed or somebody that is having anxiety, you know, they need somebody to talk to more than anything. Just give them an ear, let them talk to you, and I think that'll make everybody a better person at the end of the day.
Yeah, help, and just be positive, you know. And again, I think what people forget is that they think, oh, it's only happening to me. Why doesn't this happen to other people? But we're not in other people's lives. Let's say on social media. Like I haven't been to your house. I don't know what you do. So I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't say that. So as myself, I can't say, well, they have it so much better. maybe you don't, but that's the problem is people need to say, hey, we all go through something in our lives. And, it doesn't make us a bad person. If you get stronger from it, you know what I mean? And get some help. And there's nothing wrong with getting help. It's,
Now, you were talking about how you're now 50. Mm-hmm. And I'm about to turn 52. I'm very close to 50. So what is the next chapter? Have you already written the next chapter and what you're going to do? I mean, you had this movie come out, which I'm going to tell you again was fantastic. One of the most intense movies as far and bloodiest movie I've seen in I don't know when. Fantastic.
We did our job.
Fantastic job.
Thank you.
What do you think the next chapter is for you? Has it been written or is it yet to be written?
I think it's yet to be written still. You know what? I can't tell you what I'm going to do in 2 weeks. Well, actually, I can't tell you what I'm going to do in 2 weeks. I have a calendar and I write in it every day. This is mostly because of COVID, of everything I do, but I do it daily. You know what I'm saying? Like if I say, I went to Target today, I'll write it down. But I know I'm going to Colorado this week and I'll be going to Colorado again at the end of this month. And that's all I know. I can't tell you what I'm going to do next year. I can't tell you because you know what? I fly by the seat of my pants. It's just, I'm going to continue doing like OnlyFans and loyal fans. Yeah, because it's fun. But as far as anything else, and and again, that's like with anybody, who knows what's going to happen because there's so much craziness going on in the world.
Uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah. So, who knows? I just hope the world can get better and heal. That to me is like what I'm looking forward to. But other than that, I don't know. I can't really say. I'm just going to continue doing my crazy fun little things.
And it does seem like the stuff you're doing now, I don't want to say it's artsy, but it does have a little bit of an artsy feel to it. It's not like you're doing the more hardcore kind of things and you're not being extremely vulgar and that kind of stuff. It's more of a more mature Tabitha. You're getting more of a I don't even know the feel that you get. It's not just, it's more erotica than pornography in a way. You kind of get a lot of different feel from it. Do you understand what I'm saying when it comes to that? Would you agree with that at all?
No, I agree with that completely. I have a different way of doing things and and I have Gary shooting my stuff and Gary is just amazing at what he does, so and he likes that, he takes his time with it. As far as the hardcore thing, yes, on OnlyFans there is that content and I'm known for my dirty talking and yes, that's in there too, but when I go on social media to present some of the little video clips and things like that, again, this is just me and I didn't come from the social media age. Back in time, we didn't have social media. Oh, no. So we had pagers. We didn't even have cell phones when I was working. Yeah. So, it's a whole different ballgame. But as far as for me, now, and that's just up to other girls can do what they want. I cannot see myself putting spread shots or anything like that on Twitter or, Instagram, you can't. But I have family that follow me on Twitter, and it's like, and I can tell them don't follow me, but I don't want that. If people want to see it, they can go to OnlyFans and see it there. I don't really think it's necessary to have to flaunt all that stuff out there. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. To me, it's like for me. And again, it's everybody does their thing. I don't want to be disrespectful to like you guys, let's say, and be like, oh, there she goes again. She's showing what she had for lunch. Like because you're like all open and stuff. That's just me, because to me it's like, well, I don't really want to offend people by doing something like that. But then again, on the other end of it, would I have a gazillion more fans, let's say, on Twitter? I might.
Yeah, but you probably would.
I probably would. But that's not what I'm after. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like I'm very happy and I'm very comfortable where I'm at. And I just rather do it that way. And again, there are girls, they can do it. I give them, hey, good for you for being able to do it. I just can't personally.
And trust me, we understand completely because, we started this back up. We're not ones that are going to go and do everything in the YouTube world to try and get those, you know what I mean? The easy follows, the people that we don't care about. We were just talking about this the other day with Joey from Life of Agony. When we were talking to him about that, it's like, there's that hip way of doing things for YouTube now, and everybody kind of seems to do the same thing. No, we're doing what we used to do. It's on an updated platform. Things are different. We get to see you now on video, when we're doing interviews and things. And I love it that way so much more than just out there trying to be like everybody else. We completely understand where you're coming from with that.
100%. And it's a better place to come from, because at least you're doing what because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, no matter what everybody else is enjoying, at the end of the day, you'll be miserable. It's not what you want to do. It's not what you want to be involved in. And that, even with the stuff we do, we're not going to change and do this, that, and the other just because some 20-year-old guy down the street is got 1 million followers. It's just not worth it. It's not who we are.
And also on the other end of that, you look at like Twitter, Instagram. I will never pay for followers. I know so many girls that have. And again, if that's your thing and you want to have that, that's fine. To me, it's like, earn your shit. It's like
that is really, really big in the in the YouTube world and everywhere else. You'll go by a page and this guy will have 12,000 subscribers, and then their videos have 27 views. And I said, well, if you have 12,000 real subscribers, either A, your content is terrible and nobody wants to watch even your subscribers, or you've bought these people and they're not even real people, and that's why you don't have it. So, and I've learned from YouTube especially, subscribers don't mean anything as far as your numbers go. Nothing. It's all about the views. If you don't have the views, you can call it a day. That's just the way it is. So, you know what, Tabitha, I have taken up a bunch of your time tonight. It has meant the world to us to have you on, because like I said, you were somebody I knew very long time ago, and I was like, wow, it'd be really cool to ever get to talk to Tabitha, and for you to take time out of your day to talk to us, it means a lot. It really does. It means a lot.
We are friends. Oh, and one more thing. So I was asked to go on Judge Judy one time too.
You were?
No kidding.
Yes. My second husband, we're going through a messy divorce, and we're actually really good friends now, which is kind of funny. But his people had contacted Judge Judy, and they contacted me. They wanted to do, and I'm like, no, I just didn't want to do it, because I don't care who would have won or lost. It was just too weird. But I also was on Jerry Springer, Sally Jesse Raphael, Maury Povich. So I did all those weird shows. But yeah, as far as, I was asked to do Judge Judy.
Judge Judy, I think, is the top pinnacle of those shows.
I love her. I do. But I just was like, I'm not going there.
I could see them not getting along, by the way. Judge Judy would not like you, I don't think. Not even a little bit. I think you're definitely not someone that she's going to be nice to at all.
Oh, yeah. No, she's intimidating.
She is.
Two really quick things. You brought up the pager, having a pager. I'll never forget being in high school around that time. And I remember, I still can see the pager in my head too. I used to get my friends to call that pager or text, page me whenever there were girls around. I'll never forget about that, getting those pages, with the girls around. Boy, I thought I was so awesome. And the other thing I wanted to mention too, I know, right? I'll never forget though. It was like $7 or $8 per month for the pager service. God, it was the greatest.
Oh, that's right. I still have my pager.
Do you really?
All these things. I still have it in a container, in a box.
Oh, wow.
Again, I didn't realize how much I actually did little journaling things, and I had planner books. But I wrote, so anything I really did is through the years. I mean, I started this business in 1995, and I have planners like this high of just where I was, what I did, all these things. And it's so funny. And then I found I saved my airline tickets to Howard, all my little backstage passes and things to Howard, all the concerts, everything. But the page, I kept the pager. It was I'm like, I gotta save this.
And that's funny how Tabitha says she writes everything down. And I remember that when I first spoke to her, she's like, let me write this down right now. And I'm like, she's actually writing things down. I'm like, she's like me. I mean, I've got papers everywhere, all over my desk, where I keep up with so much stuff, and it's all on paper. I can't keep up with it on my phone or anything like that.
My fiance is, doing the notes in her phone. She'll leave stuff on the computer. I can't. I have to have it on paper in front of me.
Yeah, because you know what happens is like even in my iCal, for some reason it deletes stuff, and then it's like, wait, what did I have going on? This way, at least I know. Okay, I know what I'm doing and what time I'm doing it. And again, since COVID happened, seriously, from the day our governor said, okay, we're shutting things down, I wrote, okay, the governor said this. Today we went to the gas station. Gary pumped the gas, but he wore gloves and a mask. Like I have all this stuff written down because it's just, and for contact tracing reasons, if something ever happened, we knew where we were. Let's say we got sick and we didn't, we wanted to tell people, okay, well, we were here, here, and here. So here you go. You might want to, get a text. But, we try to be kind that way too. To me, it's just important. And, I don't want to see anything happen to my parents or anything like that. So, I just write. I even write when I go see them. What if they gave it to me? No. But they live in Sun City, so they're partying it up. No.
So all this writing, all these writing down things, you have all this information. Is there ever going to be a book? I mean, that seems like that's the next step. You're going to write a book.
I know.
That's the way to go.
I had 2 ghostwriters at one time, at different times. Both were male, and I think if I were to do it again, I'd have a female do it because the 2 guys, the 2 of them, all they cared about was Howard Stern, and they wanted to meet Howard, and they wanted to meet Gary, and they wanted to meet Sal, and I'm like, this isn't about them, and they're not gonna. Honestly, if I were to talk about my Howard Stern times in all of my episodes, Howard's not going to interview with you. He's not. That's just not going to happen, and I would never ask him to do that. I wouldn't ask Gary DELL'ABATE to do that. Like, this is my story, but it became more about, oh, what about these people, or what about these rock stars that you're friends with? And it's like, well, we learned about these things through the book, but don't bother people. It's a weird thing. And so I tried to, do it myself. I started writing little stories, and it takes me forever. And my brain just starts spinning off into, oh, but what about this? And what about that? So it's hard for me to focus on that. So I would actually need somebody to help me. And I think I'll probably have somebody who's a female, who's not really, about, the Howard Stern show or about the music or anything like that. And just kind of, help me through it that way.
The one other thing I got to mention before we let you go, when you were talking about, that's just how my head works. When you were talking about the hills part of Las Vegas, I instantly think of Cousin Eddie, from Vegas Vacation, out at his chunk of land. I don't know. I just thought about that in a minute when you said that. I kind of chuckled to myself.
Oh yeah, it's out in the desert. Like the other day, I was in Death, like right outside of Death Valley. So but we call it the hills because it's like, well, but it's really the flats. No, but there are some like lava rock and things like that. Have you guys been to the West Coast?
I have not. Creed, what about yourself? No. Yeah.
No. Nope. Up and down the East Coast for some reason.
All up and down, yeah.
Yeah, I love East Coast too. So I've been lucky enough to where I grew up, and then, I never really, I lived in Colorado before, so that's about as far after, New York, but, Utah, Vegas, California, they're very interesting places. And even though Utah is a little bit weird, they're just weird out there. The landscapes there are amazing, and they're epic, and they're insane, like just insane.
Well,
but it's hard when you're a porn star living there.
thanks to YouTube, I feel like I've traveled the entire country because I watch so many random, especially travel videos and things like that.
Fun? Oh yeah.
I love it. I love it. I get down that rabbit hole. I don't get any work done. I just video after video of stuff like that. I love it.
Or like tiny houses and stuff like that. I love yurts and tiny houses. I told Gary, I said, we need to buy land. I wanted a little compound with tiny houses and little walkways and a big fire pit so everybody can hang out. And he was like, that sounds good. So maybe that's what I'll do next.
Yes. And one thing I want everybody to remember, Gary doesn't work for free. He doesn't take pictures and things like that for free. Don't be asking Gary for free stuff. Leave my man Gary alone. He's making a damn living. Back down. I don't know what happened, but you know what? I'm on Gary's side. So I'm just letting everybody know now. Don't fuck with Gary.
He's over here, he just walked by. He's like, yes.
Hashtag don't fuck with Gary. I love it.
That's right. Don't fuck with Gary.
But it happens with people want free porn, people want free music, people want free everything, free art. And it's like, but they don't understand. It's like, oh, well, you guys are rich and you're this and that. Oh yeah, free music videos, you name it. Oh, you don't even understand what we got there. But we try to help people out. You know what I mean? Like we always give people, even on art, if Gary will put things on sale because we know a lot of people can't afford it because it's on infused metal. It's a whole big thing. But what they don't understand is, it costs money to print these prints out. Like metal is not cheap. I have one on my wall over on the side that cost me $1,000. That was my cost. That's not even Gary charging extra to make a little bit of a profit on it. That's my cost. So it's like when people expect things like it's like you got to be kidding me. You want to pay gas money too, and if I have to tan or do nails or do whatever, it's all these makeup, all these things add up. And it's just like, okay. I don't know what.
Unbelievable.
I know. But thank you for saying
Gary isn't running a charity, folks. This isn't a charity. This is a business.
Gary's really excited now. Thank you for making Gary happy.
You fuck with Gary, you fuck with me. Just let you know. Don't fuck with Gary.
Keep trying to get stuff for free. They're going to be in a tiny house, not by choice.
That's right. You're trying to put them in a tiny house. You're forcing them into one. They'll be living in that thing.
Without any art, because everybody's taking our art.
Just leave the art alone. Damn it. All right, Tabitha. You got your TabithaStevens.com. You have the links to all your OnlyFans and things like that in there. All the information about Die Influencers Die, which is a perfect Halloween season movie. It is if you cut out the lights, get you some popcorn, go pee before you sit down because you might pee a little in your pants. This is by far the must-see movie of this Halloween season. Tabitha, thank you so much for coming back on. And we are friends. Don't you worry. Anytime you need something, you let us know. And you let Gary know. Anybody fucks with him, give me a call and I'll take care of it right away. Don't worry about that.
You got it. Thank you, guys. Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you, Tabitha.
Everybody, the great Tabitha Stevens. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I got to tell you something funny during my idiot moment when I'm trying to figure out a word. Did you see what was happening in the comments between Wendy and Dave the Flav by any chance?
No, I did not. I didn't turn
so
on.
Glad.
Once I saw Dave, I didn't even go look at him.
And I'm so happy that you didn't because, it was a beautiful thing that was starting to happen. I had to, Dave, of course, said something stupid after a half an hour, but Dave and Wendy were talking a little bit, and I think they might have had a little bit of a conversation outside of it. But you know what? I paused him for like 5 minutes, and then he went away. But also his comments all went away. So now I don't know exactly what it was. A meeting of the minds, though, happening in the comments, and I was so distracted. And I wanted to say something, and
the great Wendy, the slow adult, and. Her and Dave is our guy and Wendy is Howard's girl. And we should, we just want to get them together because they're making the next generation of our great talent.
Like this jumped on and says, Dave, want this? What's wrong with you or whatever? You're not talking to me. And I mean, they were kind of going back and forth, like as if, because she had said something to him. And he had come back and said, I am not gay. I'm straight or whatever. But anyway, she was messing with him. So I think they may have been talking off, away.
Could you imagine? Because Wendy does her shows on Ustream every once in a while. Her and Dave getting on together.
Yeah.
Woo, son. Yeah, I had to send that guy over that was sending me emails about being mean to Dave.
He could moderate it.
Let him go sit through about an hour of that. And he can tell me how great Dave would be for the show.
Yeah. But so that was happening. That's why I couldn't remember the word jealous. They're jealous of you because I'm watching this happen.
I was wondering, I'm like, is Creed having a stroke?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm watching that happen and I'm like, this is just beautiful. And I'm trying to figure out, of course, I'm trying to read Wendy's, one's trying to figure out what she was saying exactly. And no, but it was a beautiful thing after I pieced it together. And I just, I was so.
The great DTF and Wendy, the slow adult.
Well, I got to say thank you so much to Tabitha Stevens. Very cool, especially because we have such a long history with so many people. And that's one thing that I absolutely love about doing this again is getting to talk to everybody that we made connections with, spent a lot of time with, back in the day, and it's a lot of fun. And the other thing that's great is we've never really dove too deep with her in Howard stuff. Yeah, really. So that was kind of neat to hear how that all happened. I did want to I didn't want to jump in while you were interviewing, but one thing that I thought was kind of cool is if you remember, well, she's right behind me, her penthouse anyways. Erica, was that her name?
Yeah.
Yep. Do you remember how she had went in to do something with Stern not long after we had, I think it was a couple years after or maybe
not even
right
a year.
No, because she was Penthouse Pet of the Year or whatever.
She went on a date with Artie. Her and another girl were his dates.
And that wasn't just one date. That happened a lot. And there was a lot of stories from that. And I always wanted to talk to her again about that. But when we had her on.
Last I heard, she's working on a golf course.
She's
the drink girl. Bring you your drinks out on the golf course.
Mm-hmm. But I bet she's got some great stories. But anyways, her story is very close to with Tabitha. Had a much longer run.
Oh my goodness,
But it was very similar to the same thing that she was talking about. So
she's definitely a huge part of that show's history, even though she's not on there anymore. That golden era, she is definitely a huge player in that whole show.
So thank you again to her. Mikey, it's been fun. We've got food. Thank God I had the microphone down when Coda went nuts when DoorDash just came. So
what'd you get?
Oh, that Heartland's Pub, it's called, down the street. It's a bar that has some great food. Got me a club. Mikey, I'm in the club.
Hey, man, make sure it's right. You don't have to go down and raise any hell.
All right, I guess what is today? What is today? Tuesday?
Today's Tuesday, so tomorrow night we'll be right back here.
Oh, Jesus.
Doing our thing.
Thought it was Monday. Well, we'll see everybody tomorrow night then.
Yeah.
Good deal. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate it. And now we're going to awkwardly sit here and wave and say goodbye.